and welcome to Business Matchmaker TV. Today, I've got a fascinating guest. I cannot believe she's just newly qualified as a doctor. But when I say she's newly qualified, when I read off her bio, oh my gosh, it's absolutely inspiring. Dr. Leanne Armitage, welcome to Business Matchmaker TV today. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing really well and I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today. So when I asked for your bio, Leanne, the key words at the top of your statement, it said, inspiring the doctors of tomorrow from all walks of life. I found that really inspiring. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about, well, maybe your journey, how you've reached that, and why that statement was the first thing that you wrote on your bio for me?
Sure. So that statement is actually the mission statement for my charity, which is called the Armitage Foundation, which is a charity that I co-founded whilst I was still at medical school, actually, to increase diversity across UK medical schools. Because at the moment, there's still a massive lack of diversity. And, you know, we live in a very diverse society, especially here in London. And it's really important that the medical workforce reflects the diversity of the patients and the people that it's serving in order to provide them with the best care. Yeah. And for that reason, especially as someone who is coming from an underrepresented background, I really felt a strong desire that change needs to happen. And, you know, maybe I need to be the person to start spearheading that change. And so that's why I co-founded the charity, and that's why I'm passionate about diversity in medicine.
I mean, that's fantastic. So I have to congratulate you. You've just newly qualified as a doctor, and I'm sure you're very proud to see your name, Dr. Leanne Armitage, on the screen. It looks fantastic.
Thank you.
You have this passion, and, you know, we hear all the time how hard it is to do a medical degree. But in the same breath, you started up your charity. So how did you have the time, and where, you know, how did that all start? And do you have, I know you've got a partner involved with that as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about the charity?
Sure. So how I managed all of it, I still don't even know. I'm completely honest. Because medicine, as I'm sure most people are aware, it's not a walk in the park in terms of the degree. And, you know, it's 6 or 5 years of study. And I did 6 years because I also intercalated, which is taking a year out to study a BSc degree, which they condensed into the space of a year. And actually, it was during that year. It was during that year that I set up the charity, which by that time wasn't a charity. It was just an idea I had. My motivation behind it, maybe to give you the backstory of everything. Please interrupt me if you do, because you know when you're.
I want to hear the story, and I know all the listeners and viewers will really be excited to hear how it started. And the fact now you've just slipped that one in the conversation. You did another degree while doing your medical degree.
Thank you. So I decided when I was 15 that I wanted to be a doctor. My motivation for this was that I've always, from about the age of 14, I started to develop an interest in science. I always used to find emergencies quite exciting. So I'd get excited if I heard fire brigades or ambulances, etc. And one day I was coming home with my sister, and I remember hearing the propellers of a helicopter from above. So I looked up and saw a red helicopter and got really excited. I really love helicopters, just saying. So I asked my sister if we could go over to where the helicopter was landing, because I could see it descending in the sky, and actually it was landing on a grass field in the middle of a huge estate close to where I live. And my sister was like, sure, let's go. So we got there. And when I got there, I remember seeing a crowd of people gathered around. Maybe there were about 20 people, and everybody was just staring. And I was a bit confused because my excitement didn't quite mirror the situation in front of me. So I remember just turning to the closest person to me, who was a lady, and just asking her, why is everybody gathered here? What has happened? And in that moment, I remember feeling all excitement drain from my body, because she said to me a young man had been stabbed. And growing up in the area I did, growing up in Peckham, it wasn't uncommon to hear that this person was shot or this person was sad. And I think for me, this specific incident hit me to the core. And I think it was because of that transition between being an excited teenager who was going to see a helicopter to hearing that actually the helicopter hadn't landed for any good reason at all. It was because somebody was fighting for their life. And so I remember in that moment feeling so many different emotions. I felt a sense of grief as I was thinking that, goodness, you know, this young man could die. I remember feeling a sense of anger because I was looking around thinking everybody's just staring as if it's a show, but who is actually going to make a difference? Who is going to be the person to try to change this terrible situation? And then I remember feeling a sense of disempowerment as I thought, what can I do? I'm just a 15-year-old girl. So I remember going home that evening with a very heavy heart, and I went to my room, and I remember just thinking and meditating and praying and asking God, what can I do? And then after lots of thought, the idea came to me that if I aspired to become a trauma surgeon, that would give me a platform to go into environments where young men are victims of knife and gun crime and inspire them to be and to do better. But I came from a background with no medics. I grew up in a single parent home. There were no medics in my family. My mother was only educated to GCSE level, so she didn't really know how to navigate the higher education system. Only one of my siblings out of 5 went to university. So I didn't really know where to start. So I literally just Googled on the internet what I'd need to do, and realized the first thing I need to do is get really good grades. So I set myself the goal of achieving 10 A stars, which is 10 grade 9s, I think, with the new system. And
yes, I believe,
yeah. I didn't think I'd be able to get the 10 A stars, but to my surprise, I did. And my sister also suggested, thank you. My sister suggested that I apply for like a bursary or a scholarship. So I did that. And then I managed to get a full boarding scholarship for a boarding school, Mill Hill in northwest London. So I studied 2 years there, got rejected when I first applied to medicine, reapplied after a gap year, started my medical journey, and then in the second year of medicine realized that there's this massive lack of diversity. And knowing all the challenges I had to overcome and all of the support that I had, yet still had challenges, I thought, how much harder would it be for someone who also has these challenges but hasn't had half of the support that I have had? And so that was like the burning passion that has driven everything and continues to drive everything.
But I'm just taking all that in. I find that fascinating. So, you know, out of a rejection, it didn't make you stop. It didn't make you think, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. You know, to achieve 10 A stars, absolutely fantastic. Congratulations. And then, you know, to move on to the school, and then it still didn't stop you having a rejection, though. You know, and for a lot of people it would, you know, if we look at
and it was challenging. It was challenging. I think, especially because even though the sixth form I was at, they never put like pressure on me to perform, but I was the first recipient of a bursary that was specifically for a student who wanted to study medicine. So I put pressure on myself. And I felt like, you know, I've been given this great opportunity. This education is worth about £50,000. Like, I need to make sure that I do well. So when I realized or got all of the rejections, I did feel really disheartened initially. But I think when you've got a why that is so deep, when your passion for something is bigger than just you, because attached to my desire to be a doctor wasn't just I want to be a doctor and live a good life. It was that, you know, young men in my community are dying. I want to be able to save lives in a different way. And so because it was so emotive, I was just willing to keep trying no matter what.
It's amazing because you've really found your purpose.
And
to find your purpose so early, I think is quite rare, you know, where you can still have that passion and drive. We all aspire to something when we're a child, you know, there's always something. But for that pivotal moment where you saw that helicopter land, you had a very mature realization of, well, this helicopter's not here just for me to look at because I like helicopters.
Exactly.
It's here for a reason. It's here saving somebody's life. And it was almost like you were meant to be there. You were meant to be looking at that and asked your sister, can we go? Your sister said yes. And your journey just keeps evolving. So I have to bring this up because it was just amazing. 2018, Leanne, please tell our listeners and viewers what happened.
I met Her Majesty the Queen at Buckingham Palace. You received an award.
I love this. You were awarded the Young Leaders Award, the Queen's Young Leaders Award, no less.
Yeah.
And you went to Buckingham Palace to receive your award as well.
I did.
And was it the Queen? I know the answer because I've seen this photo quite a lot now. The Queen that awarded you the Queen's Award.
Yeah, and she even had a small conversation with me.
Oh, did she? Are you allowed to share that conversation?
Yes, I am. I can share it. So it's actually really interesting because before we were going, so just to quickly give you the context, the Queen's Young Leaders Award, it was an award running from 2014 to 2018. So I was the final cohort, and they selected about 2 leaders from each of the Commonwealth countries. So maybe there were about 60 something of us on that day. And I was towards the end for some reason. So I was thinking, surely,
exactly.
I was thinking, surely by the time it gets to me, the Queen's going to be so tired, like she's not going to want to say anything. And before they started handing out the awards, they actually showed a little video highlighting our work, and I was part of that video. So when it came round to me, she shook my hand and she said, "You are the girl in the video." And I said, "Yeah, it was me."
Oh, wow.
I was so surprised that she recognized me. And then she asked me what work I do and congratulated me and said, keep it up. Yeah.
What an amazing experience.
It was truly a phenomenal experience. And I think what made it so amazing is that it was just the stark contrast, of the background that I come from and all of the stereotypes and perceptions that people might have of someone coming from such a background, but then to be in front of Her Majesty the Queen receiving an award whilst I was still only 23, that, just looking at that in my mind, that's what made it so phenomenal, because it was such a vivid demonstration of everything I stand for, that you can achieve your potential, you can do great things irrespective of your background, your ethnicity, any of these kind of social constructs that people may try to put on us to try to limit us. They do not have to limit you, and that moment was a testimony for me for that.
Well, I think you've proved that you can do anything and everything. We all have challenges in life, but it's how you deal with it and how you overcome them and try and make the best situation out of what you've got. And you've clearly succeeded in that. And I'm sure you must have inspired countless people by now, just by sharing your story. That's why I have to say, I first saw your name, it was on LinkedIn. And it was almost like it just kept coming up on LinkedIn. I kept thinking, there's a reason. I don't know what the reason is. So I'm just going to sort of have a look at your profile. And your profile astounded me. And I thought, wow, she's just so young, but got so much to give and offer. Certainly a very well-respected leader already, I think, for your age. And I don't think that's a barrier. But how many, as you say, how many 23-year-olds have been to Buckingham Palace to collect an award? But the awards didn't stop there, did they?
No, I had a few others.
So I've got listed here, so WeAreTheCity Rising Stars Award. Would you like to sort of share a little bit of information about that?
So We Are the City's Rising Star Award, I believe that award in particular to celebrate women. And they select women from different sectors. So I received the award for the healthcare sector, and there was a ceremony in London. I can't remember which venue exactly it was, or I can't remember the name, but that was a wonderful evening. Vanessa Valley is the person who set it up, and I especially found her speech of the evening quite inspiring, because I think, even though we live in an age where women are advancing and doing great things, there are still limitations for women. Society is still not really set up for women to excel, I find, and I believe this, and so it still can be challenging. So receiving awards like that when you're surrounded by women who are go-getters and forming a network where you can support each other, it's really valuable.
No, I totally agree with you. So another part of my business is running areas for the Love Ladies Business Group. So we host events and support women in business across the country. And it's invaluable to have that support in business, or even it's that shoulder to cry on, or somebody to be your cheerleader in the background, egging you on and saying, come on, you can do this, you can do
Exactly.
this. There's a different energy, but I totally agree. This is not about wanting to be better than anybody else. This is also wanting just to be equal. So it's just an equal playing field. So if there's a job opportunity or if it's for an award, it should be for the best person.
Exactly.
Not because they're male, not because they're female. This should be now developing into an equal playing field. So, so we've talked about 2 awards. Should we move on to the 3rd one? This could just be an award. So we've got the Aleto. Am I saying that right? Aleto Foundation.
Exactly.
Tomorrow's Leader Award.
Yeah. That award means a lot to me because the Aleto Foundation is really, it's really a place, it has a special place in my heart because it's really where my character evolved and accelerated. It's where I developed the confidence to know that I can just go and create a program and, you know, then decide to convert it into a charity. And actually the CEO of that charity is one of my trustees, and she believed in me from the beginning. And sometimes the power of somebody who believes in you is so invaluable. For someone to be able to see the potential inside of you and to draw it out and challenge you, and then also to just kind of love you. I think that it can sound a bit corny, but there's so much power in love. And the CEO of the Aleto Foundation loved me like a daughter. You know, she was there for me, not just for me to develop as a leader, but also there for me if I had issues or just needed to talk through with someone. And you know, leadership is more so than just you having these credentials or developing skills. It's also about being able to manage yourself, and life has challenges for everyone, so being able to have that kind of pastoral support as well, it's invaluable. And yeah, that is just one part I can say about the power of the Aleto Foundation. It's done so much more for me, but yes, they really helped me to set up the program and to really get the charity going.
But it is fantastic. I mean, I talk to, yes, a lot of women in business and a lot of other entrepreneurs as well, and business leaders, and it is about having that belief. So if somebody shows the interest in you and having that belief in that you can do it, and it's not just a question of, yeah, you're good at everything, don't worry about it, but it's about picking up on that person's key strengths and the weaknesses to develop them into strength. But when you've got somebody that believes in you, wow, it opens up so many doors. And do you know, I think half the battle sometimes for many of us is confidence. We don't believe that we can do it, but we can. You know, and if all it takes is somebody in the background to say, you can do this, I know you can do this. That initial, oh, well, do you know what, that mindset change, I can do this.
And it's so invaluable. And you know, I struggled with self-esteem for many years, and that was such a limiting factor. And I remember, I'm someone who's very self-analytical and quite self-aware, so I knew that this was an issue for me. And I remember thinking to myself, it doesn't matter how many people have confidence and believe in me. If I don't learn to believe in myself, that's going to limit and restrict me, because ultimately I'm the person that's got to go out and do it. And so being able to know how to develop your self-confidence, because it's definitely something that you can work on and you can make strides towards allowing yourself to become a more confident person. Being able to do that is so important. And that's a journey I had to go on. And it's something I try to do with my charity through personal development, to give these students the confidence to know that you can compete with your wealthier counterparts and you can be successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think what you're doing is fantastic, because it is about valuing personal growth and learning. There is so much to continually learn and develop within ourselves to be that better person, and to be able to turn around and support somebody else. We don't do it for our own feeling. It is to better that person, and then hopefully that knock-on effect as well. So if you can help one person, they should help the next person, and ideally the world should be a better place. I'm not sure, you know, we've simplified that quite easily, but what would you like to see as a major change in the world? I mean, it's a very big question, but is there one thing that predominantly stands out for you that would make the world a better place?
Yeah, it is such a huge question. And when you first said it, I thought, goodness, how do I answer such a question? But what actually happened in my thought process is that I thought, I'm sure you've heard those phrases that if you want to change the world, start at home, start in your community. Because you can't just go out and say, I want to change the world without actually doing the things you can do where you are at now. And that's actually a limiting belief I used to have. I used to think that because I've always had a desire, or I've always felt that my life is bigger than me, that I need to contribute to the world, I need to make a change. But I always used to have the mindset that I need to wait till I'm super successful and then people will listen to me. But then I came to the realization that actually you've got a story to tell now, and you can help people coming up behind you now, even though you're not necessarily exactly where you want to be. So I think my answer to that question would be, I'd want other people to feel empowered to know that even though they may not necessarily be in a super high paying job or be super well known, that actually you can make a difference in your local community, you can make a difference even in your household, and for people to start walking in that power and making those differences.
And it can be just a simple change, can't it, as well? It doesn't have to be, I don't know, conquering the whole street even, let's say. I think the small changes come, and as soon as you're ready to accept that yourself, the change will come, because it naturally it evolves within yourself, and everything that you talk about and your actions, it does come back to the values that you stand for, and then how you've been brought up as well. Your mum must be so proud. Hats off to you.
She is proud
you must
of
say
me.
a big congratulations from me, just personally. I'm a mum myself, and I think just hearing you talk, it's inspiring. And what I would like to say is that I think it's really important for having a role model and of your age, and and understand the challenges that, let's say, the early 20s, the generation they've got. You can relate to them. I'm no doubt you'll be inspiring late teenagers as well. So maybe if they're in school, they just done their GCSEs. I know we're in a slightly difficult time at the minute with lockdown, but you just never know, because all it takes is one sentence to change somebody else's life.
Definitely.
And it works. So do you have a personal role model, Leanne? Because I'm sure you are.
I've got so many role models. And I'm so grateful. I think there's something to learn from everyone. And some of my role models are not even here. They're passed on. So I could list you so many different role models that I have.
So if when I said to you, do you have a role model, was there one that stood out immediately?
I think the one that stands out for me immediately, so my faith is a really important part of my life, and every day I'm aspiring to be more like Jesus, because irrespective of people's beliefs, everybody can agree that he was an exceptional leader. He walked in humility, he walked in compassion, he was disciplined, he led by his values and not his emotions, and that's super important, especially sometimes as females we can be a bit more emotional. So I just want to be more like him, to be honest.
Wow, I wasn't expecting Jesus. You've kind of thrown me now. You have thrown me. So, wow, I'm going to say wow again. I think that's fantastic, because, people talk about business role models, entrepreneurs, or people within the community, maybe, names that we don't know about, but they've all made a difference. So would there be somebody locally to you as well? I mean, would you class your mum as a key role model?
If I'm completely honest, I wouldn't say my mother. Don't tell her I said that. I can probably say, at the stage in my life where I'm at now, probably somebody who's a great role model for me right now is a lady called Dr. Funke Abimbola. She set up a scholarship called the Akindole Scholarship in memory of her father, who sadly passed away, I think in 2012, if I'm not mistaken. He was a really renowned doctor, and he had liver cancer, so his death was quite sudden, and it shocked everyone. But out of that pain, she drew purpose, because she decided that, okay, I'm going to set up this scholarship and I'm going to support students who are, it's specifically for students from ethnic minorities who are studying medicine, who are doing great things in their communities. And it's literally just a scholarship to support you. So there's no real strings attached in how you spend the money. It's just to support you. But following that, we started to develop a relationship where we'd meet quarterly, and now we talk quite regularly. And being able to have her in my life, again, it's just invaluable, because she's one of those leaders that is willing to have humility. Like, she will tell me that I mentor her. She believes in reverse mentoring, and you know, she's a C-suite leader, so she's got so much experience on me, and she shares her journey with me. She allows me to hear about the challenges that she has, and I learned so much from that, and that is invaluable, because I've always been the kind of young person, if I'm to still call myself that, people still say I look 15. I've always been the kind of young person that I'd rather learn from your mistakes than have to make them myself. And so whenever somebody tells me stuff that I know is wisdom, I always kind of hold on to that and try to apply that. And she's somebody at my life in the moment who has really just been such a great blessing. And she just, yeah, she's wonderful.
But she sounds amazing. And
she's a lawyer, by the way, as well, actually. She's not actually a doctor.
Wow. So, but she does sound amazing. And it sounds like you've got that kindred connection where you both are, you're fighting for the same things.
Yeah.
The age is irrelevant in this situation,
exactly.
Because, like you say, reverse mentoring, where you're both learning from each other. And I think the beautiful thing will be is that you're both gaining knowledge and perspective.
Yeah.
Because of your different ages as well. That will come into it. That will be huge, because you'll both be able to sort of dwell on so much different experience. There'll be a lot more that she's done already in her life, granted, but there'll also be all the new challenges that you're facing that she can assist and maybe shine a light on. I'm not sure, but it'll also help guide you. So she sounds fascinating. She sounds really fascinating.
Amazing woman. Yeah.
Absolutely. I tell you what we will say, though, is when your mum listens to this, she is one of your role models, though, yes? Yes, just say yes. Yes.
No, I'm really grateful for my mother. Yeah, even though she didn't really understand like the journey I'd need to take to get to medicine, she always has supported me in any way that she can. You know, getting me books. Even like I've gone through a few different extremes of like of diets, not diets like having a diet, but in terms of saying, okay, I've decided that I want to be a vegetarian now, or I want to be a vegan now, whereas the rest of the household doesn't eat like that, but she'll still, you know, get me the specific things that I need. So I'm really grateful to her.
Oh, wow. Well, she sounds like a fantastic woman, because she has genuinely brought you up, and I'm sure your siblings are exactly the same, where they're really driven and motivated and really appreciate life and are living it to the full and to their absolute maximum. I think it's fantastic. So my last question, Leanne, what's the most important thing to you at this moment in time? What are you trying to achieve? What's important?
Yeah, I think for me, I guess it comes with me developing a level of maturity that will give me the ability to answer the question in this way. But for me, the most important thing is enjoying the journey and having peace. I think one of the things I've had the privilege of realizing is that there are many highly successful people who on the outskirts look like they've got everything going for them, but they're not happy. And they're not happy because there's, you know, they're trying to please other people, or they're trying to be right by what society thinks, rather than fulfill the passions in their heart and not be afraid to do what they believe is right, irrespective of other people's opinions. And so my desire is to always be authentic to myself. My desire is to walk in my purpose, even if that seems totally different from other people, and my desire is to enjoy my journey and not to be fixated on achieving one thing, because you achieve that, then there's something else. So I want to have joy in the process, and I want to enjoy every experience, because even the lows, beauty can come out of that, and your character evolves and strengthens. So that is my my pursuit.
Yeah. I think, you know, no, but spoken very wisely though as well, because we win or we learn. That's one of my things that I say to my family and my daughter especially, is that if you feel like it's losing, it's not. You're going to learn from it. It'll build your character. You'll learn something new from it. And more than likely, you won't do it again, or that situation.
Exactly.
You'll handle it in a different way. And you'll have evolved from it. And I think that's really important. And one thing you touched on was being passionate. You've got to be passionate about what you do. Otherwise, you won't enjoy it. So you don't put 100% into it. Definitely. But when you do enjoy it, I think the results speak for themselves. So, for example, everything that we've talked about in this interview, and there's one last sentence I want to bring up that you put in your bio that I hope this does translate through the interview, because I certainly feel it does. Your sentence is, my ultimate mission in life is to inspire people to be the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that will be your legacy.
Thank you.
An absolute key legacy. It's been an absolute honor, Leanne. Thank you so
for having
much. No, it's been an absolute pleasure to interview you today on Business Matchmaker TV. For all the viewers and listeners out there will be all of Leanne's links on the website. Please do have a look. And if you want to support the Armitage charity, the Armitage Foundation charity, please do connect with her. And I'm sure there'll be some ways where we can help each other through this. I think it's fantastic. You're an inspiration, Leanne. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.